Chapter 1. Suddenly the room was pitch dark, then, just as suddenly, it was brilliantly illuminated with a flash of light. Turning abruptly, the girl transferred her attention from the dissection set on the table to the cheaply curtained window. A weird breeze, seemingly from nowhere, blew through the room and everything went out of order. Her limbs and joints grew numb as she struggled onto near-dead feet and dragged herself to the dressing table. The goose pimples were thick on her arms and legs, and her hair was severely disheveled. She looked at her dirty self in the mirror and then at her wristwatch. She could not believe that she had had a bath just an hour ago. Her wristwatch showed the time to be 2:18 p.m. Horrified, she remembered that a similar frenzy had overtaken and engulfed her at around the same time on the 2 previous Sundays, and that, on each occasion, a spasm of pain running throughout her body had been the warning of its approach. The girl took the Bible from the dressing table and placed it symbolically on her heart. Feeling soothed, she smiled victoriously, carefully set the Bible in its place and returned to the frog she had been dissecting on the table. Once again, she began to prod at its heart with a long thin glass pointer, and rapidly scribbled some information in the open notebook at her side. Suddenly a sharp pain racked the girl's head, and she began to tear at her dress in a total frenzy. Her hair became more and more disheveled, her cheeks ballooned until they became almost transparent, and her eyes bulged as if about to pop out of their sockets. The table she was clinging to for support creaked loudly. A yellow fluid began to foam out of her mouth, then ceased as suddenly as it had started. She spat it out and began to mumble musically a string of unintelligible words. It was some kind of incantation which soon became recognizable as a well-known voodoo chant. Ewu, ewu, newo, newo, nue Yesu, Yesu, yena yena, manyu, manyoa, blekotso. The girl accompanied the marked rhythm of the tune with a weird dance, usually performed at the fetish shrines and known only to the local fetish priests and priestesses of Accra, custodians of the myth and culture of the lesser gods. She knelt down on the floor and feverishly began to draw a large heart shape there with a piece of red chalk she had snatched from the table. She got up and resumed her weird dance, this time around the heart. This completed, she became more calm and, as her senses slowly returned, she began to sob like a child. A little later, sitting on her bed and surveying her room, she saw her new dress lying ruined, in shreds. Her table lamp, a birthday gift from her mother, was on the floor, her books were scattered about and the blood of the frog was sprinkled on the floor. The frog itself was lying in the middle of the heart shape sketched on the floor. Opening her itching left palm, she gasped in horrified surprise. There, lying in it, was the heart of the frog she had been working on. She mumbled something to herself and began to put the room in order. She had almost finished when there was a knock at the bedroom door. She glanced around uneasily and pushed the tattered dress under her bed. Hurriedly she placed the frog back on the glass tray, jumped into a housecoat, and ran a comb through her hair. Taking a quick look at herself in the mirror, she walked across to the door. "Who's there?" she inquired. "It's me, Shoma," came the reply. "You must have been daydreaming." "I have been knocking for more than a minute," she added. "I'll be with you in a minute, Shoma." "I am looking for the key," Mary lied. Glancing quickly around the room again, she set a few more things in their right places and, feeling the room to be presentable now, she opened the door. "Hello, Shoma, come in." "Thank you." Shoma walked in and immediately rubbed her nose. "I smell blood," she said. "Have you been at those frogs again?" "They are smelly." "Yes," said Mary, "and the funny thing is that I could not do the homework, so I got angry with myself and went back to bed. I should have cleared up the mess," she lied. Shoma smiled and dropped into the chair nearest her. She spotted Mary's dress under the bed opposite her and glanced quizzically at Mary, then back at the dress. "Now tell me, Mary, what is your new dress doing down there?" Mary knelt down and with forced surprise said, "Oh. Thank God, I have found it. I have been looking for it since lunch. Sometimes one can really become awfully forgetful. See what the A-levels are doing to me, making me behave like a 90-year-old grandma, eh?" She forced a chuckle. How then did you win the A-level prizes in biology, physics and chemistry? Strange that. I expect your devil godmother helped you with some dark power, Shoma said playfully. At the mention of the devil, Mary felt a churning in the pit of her stomach. Shoma leaned over and picked up the Bible from the dressing table, inquiring as she did so, by the way, what was the theme of today's sermon at church? I had some homework to do and locked myself up in the dorm whilst it was going on, but Shoma stopped abruptly as she noticed blood stains on the cream leather cover of the Bible and on the first few pages. Mary looked away horrified. Mary, this is unlike you. Mary remained silent but paled visibly. You have been my best friend and confidant at home and school these past 7 years, but I have never seen you like this before. Tell me, what is eating you? What are you up to? Did you sup with the devil? Were you soliciting his help? Shoma finished breathlessly. Tell me, Mary, what happened? Listen, Shoma, and believe me, Mary pleaded. I got mad with myself because I could not answer a simple zoology question. Sometimes we are all mad. You know that concept of psychology. Mary tried to reason with Shoma, and then added rather angrily, I hope you don't think I have gone through a ritual simply to help me pass my exams. A warm soothing smile came from Shoma. I am sorry I pushed you to the wall. Let's soak some curry and have it with biscuits. She tossed Mary 2 letters from the post which she had brought for her and, whilst she read them, Shoma prepared the curry. Oh Dad, I'm glad you phoned. It's lovely to hear you, but I have problems I cannot mention fully on the phone. Things are happening to me, very strange things. Yes, weird things. I wake in the night, crying, and most nights I have fearful dreams. Dad, I am losing weight, my hair is going kinky and a dull vulture brown no matter what I do to it. I am always scared that something is going to drive a knife through my heart. Sometimes I don't sleep a wink until the rising bell goes. Something is always crawling in my roof at night, but I am the only person who hears it. Please Dad, can you come over to see me now? I have a feeling I might be sent away if all this is discovered. Sometimes I dream of occult rites. Sometimes I think I am mentally deranged and, her voice rose hysterically. Mary cut that drama out and, the receiver was wrenched from her hand and the door of the telephone booth banged twice by itself, causing one of the square pieces of glass in the door to break. It fell, cutting Mary on the shoulder. She held on tightly to the automatic exchange money box. Mary, what is wrong? What's going on there? Mary, answer me. Tell me something, demanded her father. She could not help him, all her strength was concentrated in holding on to the exchange money box. The frenzy became acute. Again, she began to tear her blouse to shreds, and the yellow matter once again began forming in her mouth. Frantically she sucked the blood from the gash on her left shoulder. The telephone receiver dangled like a pendulum counting time. Mary, for God's sake say something, shouted her father at the other end of the line, 90 miles away. What dirty joke is this? We no longer know our children. What is the world coming to? They have no fear for God or their parents. They carry us through traumatic tantrums, to them as pleasurable as their weird dances. Now Mary, be sensible and cease this vulgar joke. There was no reply from Mary except her frenzied grunts. Take the receiver, Zandria. Mary, it's me, your mother. What's the big idea? We don't like the joke. Mary hissed loudly and slowly began to regain self-control. Hear that? She hissed horribly. She sounds really ill to me, Zandria said to her husband. Maybe you're right, he replied. They could hear nothing more, but continued to wait helplessly for 3 whole minutes before Mary began to sob and to clutch at the receiver. Dad, yes, speak on. I can't explain. Just come right away. Do you really mean that? I said hurry over here, and I meant that, please. But you are at Cape Coast and a good 92 miles from Accra. If you can't come now, drop dead, said Mary and vehemently replaced the receiver in its cradle. She began to sob. Her 3-minute ordeal came to an end at 2:23 p.m. It was the fourth Sunday and the fourth similar attack at precisely the same time. She glanced at herself in the tiny mirror above the phone and saw the mess she was in. With her tattered blouse, she began to clear up the yellow foam she had produced. Leaving the booth as it had been when she had entered it, except for the broken pane of glass, she opened the door and stepped out into the quiet, the graveyard of the siesta period, and began to trace her steps along the forbidden paths to her own room. Mary Quarcoopome was a 19-year-old upper sixth former and a senior school prefect at the girls' high school. The school clock struck 6. Mary looked up from the book she had been reading and checked the table clock. It said 6. In half an hour the dining bell would ring, and her prefect's duty would call. She loved her duties as senior prefect, but like the other students, hated the Sunday dinner of poloba sauce and unripened plantain, which students of generations ago had nicknamed stubborn or pole vault, names which had stuck to this day. As usual, the 900 students would leave over 2/3 of Sunday's dinner as a protest to the authorities and in the hope that the menu might be altered to the much preferred half chicken and fried rice, which they called under candlelight. Mary returned her attention to her book. Just then someone knocked. Crazy afternoon. I can't settle to anything without some form of interruption, she mumbled to herself. Who is it? Mary, your parents are here. They are waiting for you in the visitors' common room. It is me, Quail. Oh, thank you. Please tell them I'll be there in a minute. Mary closed the book and hurried to the bathroom where she washed her face and arms, combed her hair in the style students call flat top, and applied talc to her face. Then she walked across to see her parents. When she saw her father's broad, reassuring smile, her quick steps changed into a trot and then broke into a sprint. Her father's big body and priestly gown engulfed her and seemed to provide her with the warmth and protection she so badly needed. How are you, my dear? Her father asked. I have not been myself these past 3 weeks. What's wrong with you? Her mother asked. I don't know. I can't recollect it clearly. Just that it's ghastly. How? Her father asked. Something seizes hold of me and then, for about 3 minutes, the whole world is a blank. Everything is upside down. I cannot describe the situation any more than that. The Lord be with you, her father prayed. And with their spirit, she and her mother duly responded. Her parents comforted her and, when she had calmed down, they went to see the headmistress. Having witnessed Mary's deteriorating physical and mental health for themselves, Mary's parents had already decided in their own minds that they must take her away from school, even at this crucial time of preparation for the examinations, before her agony was multiplied by the knowledge that others had become aware of her illness. For it was obvious that it would only be a matter of time before someone found out, and then Mary would lose her reputation as a model prefect and scholar and become an object of ridicule and pity. The headmistress, a shrewd and kindly woman, could see that Mary was extremely disturbed. However, she was reluctant to lose her star pupil, even though it was to be a temporary measure, and insisted that Mary should continue her studies at home so that she could return to sit the examinations and to give her leaving speech. It was a school custom that the senior prefect should end her reign with a speech and hand over her office to the senior prefect appointed for the following year. It was a great honor to give the speech, and it was anticipated with mounting excitement by the whole school for weeks before the event. Mary has been doing so well, both as a prefect and as a student, the headmistress told the girls' parents, that her going would be a real loss to everyone here. Turning to Mary, she added, Mary, I don't want you to be rash. I shall allow you to go home to work for the examinations, as I believe you have the self-discipline and dedication essential for working alone, but I must ask that you allow your parents to leave alone today, and that you stay on here until Saturday. If you still feel the same way by then, you shall go with my blessings. With this Mary had to be satisfied, for she knew that the headmistress was trying to be fair. If only she could feel differently by next Saturday, she thought sadly as she watched her parents' car disappear down the road, but somehow, she felt that things would not have changed. She walked slowly back to her room and sat rigidly on the sofa. Her troubled eyes were raised in desperation to the ceiling. On her mind was the all-important question, what is wrong with me?